Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information that new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
All right. Number 5, national security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies, in intelligence agencies.
Something ain't right.
Well, we're going to follow the law. But before we do, we have to scrub some things. Oops, did I just say that? Welcome, everybody, to World at War, the #1 late night shadow band show in the entire world. Can you believe it? I'm Dean Ryan. It's so good to be here tonight. Yes, it is. As I was rushing here, let's just say I was rushing as fast as the FBI is right now, scrubbing these files. How about that? Who is excited to see some redacted files? Because I know I am. It's about damn time. Anyways, tonight's episode is the fate of the president. Which one, which version of Trump, I'm not sure, because we've discovered a whole new Donald Trump just yesterday. Had that eureka moment, and I'm going to share with you at some point in the show. But that aside, tonight is a big show because the Congress has spoken and the Senate has spoken too. And some people are saying prepare for retribution and prepare for volcanic ash of an explosion. Yeah. We're going to be getting into that here tonight as Pamela Bondi, as you saw there, the former Baywatch star, has now spoken. How come none of these people are like excited? How come none of these people are saying, yes, finally we can go after him? Do you see the look of shame, the look of it's like they just received their report card and got an F, and just found out when they get home they're going to get a huge spanking from their father. Well, that's what it looks like to me. I just can't believe the sad faces, the long tooth. I was looking for a violin player at one point. I mean, it's just gotten to that level. Yes, it has. So we're going to be talking about that here tonight, as my excitement is somewhere in between that and the somber and too late, too soon. You know how it is. So we're going to be talking about that here as Congress has now crossed the dawn. We'll see what that's about. Also, we have a return of some interesting things in the U.S. just in time for the winter. Yes, you'll think twice about eating chicken. Then again, if you're still eating at KFC, well, we should have a talk later. So we're going to talk about that, as well as some new polls coming out of Chicago regarding ICE. And Target is back in the news. Yes, Target, if you're French, they've now sunk to a new low. I can't imagine how you can get any lower when they did the tranny bathing suits debacle. Who remembers that one? God, we had a field day with that. If I could turn back time. So we're going to be seeing what that's all about. Plus, Home Depot could be on the chopping block. We're going to find out why and what does this really indicate. We'll see what it's all about. We have some World War III news, plus some huge real deal politics, as you know. And the Dems are they're getting strong now with hubris, strength, artificial or not. They feel they have the bully pulpit just within reach. We'll see if that's true. And Melania has showed up again. I'm stunned. She does look stunning. You can't take that away with her or from her. She has turned up again in Saudi Arabia. We're going to see what she's wearing. Is she dressing to impress? We'll find out. And is it the real Melania? I'll give you a hint. I think it is. So there's that poignant moment we're going to be talking about. Plus some international news coming out of the UK, which is sinking to a whole nother levels of new lows, sadly. And something happening in Taiwan, and espionage is in season and in vogue again right here in America when it comes to that. And some major real deal bots, as Elon is coming back too. He doesn't want to miss this party, as well as real deal religionists. You don't want to miss that one. It's kind of a continuation of what we discovered about the mega churches this past weekend. Yes, it is. Okay, let's get started with some headlines. But before we do, we are broadcasting live over there on Real Deal Media's Rumble page. I'm going backwards tonight. My dyslexia said, yes, do it. We're on Rumble, as well as Dean Ryan TV on YouTube and The Real Dean Ryan on Facebook. Yes, we are live weeknights, 10 p.m. Eastern, with a margin of error. So there's that one. Now let's get to some headlines, shall we? I think so. Real deal headlines. Let's get to it. And a big apology for last night, by the way. Got in a huge dispute with our internet provider, and I was unable to get on air, believe it or not, and just the frustration. Anyone who saw that little blurb, if you found me last night, consider that a very special show, because I know I will. Okay, continuing now. Let's talk about it now as we get to the real deal headlines, as the feature story here tonight, as the fate of the president is in the hands of Congress, Senate, and dare I say the people. Yes, dare I say it, and I think I will. Well, yes, Congress is finally standing up to Trump, they're saying, and it's not just about Epstein. What could this be about? I feel so naked. Well, they're saying it's about a whole host of bad behavior to some. For Dems, it's a maneuver of grasping the mantle of power again. And for libertarians out there, Thomas Massey, it could be his own retribution. Do you think so? Well, he seems to think so. This is what he's saying.
It's that simple. Why do you think he is working so hard not to get them released for so many months? What do you think the real reason is?
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect. And Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that's going to backfire on them too.
So
Wow. The man has spoken. Well, that's not all. Now the Senate has unanimously passed and approved the Epstein Files Transparency Act, pressuring Trump to sign and release the documents, which that should take place tomorrow. We'll find out. Well, this is what we know thus far. This is coming out of the playbook of Mike Adams over there at Natural News, and the following saying, well, the Senate has now, yes, indeed, passed the bill with no Republican objections at all, fast-tracking it through a procedural maneuver led by Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer. Yes, the House approved the legislation with only one dissenting vote, signaling a broad bipartisan support for the transparency in the Epstein case. Now, Donald Trump, who previously dismissed the push for the disclosure, will endorse the bill over the weekend, declaring that Republicans should vote to release the Epstein file if that's what they feel their heart is telling them to do. Well, Democrats accused Trump of previously obstructing transparency, with 16 House Democrats sending a letter to Pamela Bondi over there, alleging she withheld files to shield the president, some have said. Well, Epstein's victims also took center stage, if you recall. We shared that with you just on Monday night, with their names read extremely aloud during the House debate. Now, the passage of the bill marks a significant step towards the transparency atmosphere, as many have called it, but the focus now shifts to the DOJ's compliance, which I'm not holding my breath because I can't do that anymore with this administration. No, I can't, because the release of the documents could reignite scrutiny of powerful figures, including potentially Donald Trump himself. And that's just a start of it all. So you get a little taste of where this is going. You know, it means a lot of things to a lot of people, because the move just came out hours after the House passed the legislation overwhelmingly. Can you believe this? 427-1. Who's the one vote? We'd like to find that guy. And what does he have in his closet besides skeletons? Well, this now is a swift Senate action after the House vote. Chuck Schumer is very excited to pass this. He's hoping they scrub his. But could it be, as one of our members shared with me, and it's really been daunting on my memory, that are there two different versions of the Epstein documents? Is there a version that the Democrats know about that has a lot of these the salacious saturation, dare I say, fictitious kind of attributes that are found in it, versus maybe the documents that Trump has that he's now placing and swapping? And if true, what a maneuver that would be. I've heard of hat tricks in the game of hockey before, but this one would take the hockey puck, I'll tell you that much. And that is our feature story. We'll return to more of that in our Real Deal Politics segment. Yes, we will. Okay. Well, now as this is all happening, and as much fun as it is for both parties, well, there's another party that's coming to play back again. They want a piece of the puzzle and the pie as well. Well, that's these guys right here, as they are back. Yes, the bird flu is back just in time for Thanksgiving. It's like we went through this before last year, and I think we did. Well, now the bird flu has now returned. Some people who has placed a hex on the United States. Well, it's coming true, as now the bird flu reaches popular U.S. tourist destinations as a first case found in ducks. So we had the bird flu, if you recall, last year, come into the chicken just stagnation over there in the farms, then somehow, some way transferred to cows, then transferred it to cats, and then transferred it to like two people who were in like a Vancouver just forest. I mean, this story of the H5N1 virus has many, many, many different shades and colors. Well, now the virus that causes the bird flu, they're saying, is a highly infectious and lethal disease that mainly affects birds, but it can also transmit to humans and house pets as well. Well, the new case was detected in a bird over there in the island of Maui, over there in Hawaii. The virus was confirmed in a northern pintail duck found along the Waialahi shoreline. State authorities added that the samples were sent to a lab over there in Wisconsin, where they tested positive for the avian flu. As the H5N1, the highly infectious, yet lethal, yet very non-discriminatory virus, mainly affects birds, but they're saying it can now affect everybody, and there's nowhere to go, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide or fly to. The first case of the bird flu was detected in Hawaii back in November of last year. See, there we have it. Every November, they try to make it to the bird flu mantle. In Oahu, now most recent case was detected in Manua campus in October of this year. Now, the risk of infection to humans and poultry remains very low. However, the United States Geological Survey tested 77 birds for the virus, of all which were negative except for the Maui duck, which is this first time I've heard of a Maui Hawaiian duck. That is quite interesting. So this also comes as now the officials now have advised the public to remain vigilant, warning that the migratory birds may carry diseases to the island. So they're saying don't feed any ducks, don't pet the ducks, don't eat the ducks, and stay far away from birds altogether. Well, just in time for Turkey Day. They never cease to fail us, don't they? Continuing now as we now fly away from that, far away. Now there's a new study that's coming out of Chicago where they're now saying 97% of the migrants who were picked up by ICE, well, they had no criminal records to begin with, which we were kind of told that ICE was going to be going after mafioso types, gang types, very bad hombre types, as we've been told over the years. Well, in this case, it might be a little different. Let me tell you about this now. I was 97%, yes, that's right, of the people detained by ICE in Chicago just recently had no criminal records to begin with. The unprecedented immigration crackdown has entered its third month, in case you're counting, with a growing number of residents fighting back against the seemingly indiscriminate yet hastily handed immigration enforcement. Yes, a shocking 97% of the hundreds of undocumented immigrants detained recently over there in Chicago had no criminal records at the time of their arrest, according to the DOJ document. Now, the document submitted by the agency last week is part of an ongoing lawsuit against the DHS, which stands for Department of Homeland Insecurities, over there in federal court, lists that 614 names of the migrants and the immigrants recently arrested, most under the DHS's Operation Midway Blitz. That's Operation Midway Blitz, which kicked off in September. Now, these government documents contradicted the Trump administration's narrative that its ongoing raids are focusing on violent criminals who are in the country illegally, or what the agency often labels as, quote, the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst. Now, according to lawyers representing these migrants, most of these arrests likely violated the 2022 federal consent decree that imposes strict conditions on making arrests without warrants, probable cause, and more so, just plain out redundancy. Now, here's a quote from one of the lawyers over there at the ACLU. They said the following: well, you look at this list, and it's very clear that they just did a broad sweep of anybody and not targeted sweep of people who were here unlawfully that they knew were likely to flee or were criminals, as they led you to believe, Michelle Garcia of the ACLU has said. Now, okay, let me add to this as well. I had a problem with this, with the National Guard and a lot of other military personnel coming into play here. Is I saw this as, me personally, there's something more to this than just arresting a bunch of meat packers, a few hundred of them. And as in the people who work in the meatpacking facilities, not the, never mind. But you know what I'm talking about. So could this be for something else as a mass arrest in the future when people, when we're being dragged into war? It feels like that to me. There's something bigger at play. There's that aspect. There's also the aspect of the financial collapse. And we're talking raids on grocery stores when the EBT cards don't work. We see that as a potential replacement of why we have such heavy, beefed up presence in certain cities, blue cities to be exact. That's how I see it. I think there's something bigger at play here that's coming in the near future, as 2026 is going to be one hell of a year. So yeah, nobody's a criminal. And if they are, they're rather smooth. Now, continuing on as we now get to, well, that's right. Target has now made a huge misstep. And luckily for me, I don't shop there, so I missed it. No pun intended. Well, now there's Target is now being described of sinking to a new low, which I said, how is that possible? And if you don't remember, Target back in 2023 was releasing bathing suits for tranny kids with like the fake little kibbles and bits in it. You can't make this up. They're responsible for this debauchery, just degenerate debauchery. Well, now Target is now synced even below that, they're saying, as now customers are now fleeing in droves, forcing bosses into making drastic moves, as they're now saying. Well, inflation-wary shoppers are now steering clear of Target's messy, understaffed stores, and don't I know it? Well, just recently, past Wednesday morning, over there in the Minneapolis chain, with, get this, 1,980 stores, said that the third quarter profit took yet another hit. It's so good to hear. Deepening a slide that has now stretched across three straight years, that is. Now, Target's slump comes from a four-headed monster: shabby stores, sinking staff morale, jittery investors, and leadership shakeup waiting in the wings. Wow. Well, the pain isn't ending anytime soon now. Executives warn that the sales slump will drag right through the critical holiday shopping season now. To stop the bleeding, Target is throwing another $1 billion in their store remodels and new locations beginning next year, bringing its multi-year store facelift tab to roughly $5 billion. Now, bosses hope that the massive investment will finally jolt the chain out of its prolonged funk, because it's been very funkadelic lately, if you've ever stepped foot in one. Independent analysis say the overhaul is not only welcomed, it's many, many years late. Well, stores are not optimized for the customer. People like Neil Sanders, a retail expert, has now said. And how do you become a retail expert? Doesn't that just mean like a person who shops a lot? I mean, you can't find a course on that in school, can you? Now, in case you haven't been to Target, this is why it's plummeting, and they're saying that they've sunk to new lows. Now, if you've been, you might have noticed that there are many out of stocks, retail items everywhere. There's messy piles of everything everywhere. There's cleanup spills that never get cleaned up, and not enough assistance at the registers. See? And the price of their stock has really plummeted. Just from January, it was about $140 a share. Now it's about, well, getting close to $80 a share. Now, investors have punished Target's stock recently, as I just shared with you, sending it down 43% over the past year. Yes, it has. And the bosses don't know what to do. Now, just recently and over there in October, the company said it would cut about 1,800 corporate jobs, roughly 8% of its white-collar workforce, to speed up its decision-making and reignite growth. To pump up not just the volume, but the sales during the holidays, Target is now offering more than 20,000 new items. But is that enough? Do we care? So that's what it is. I guess the title of this is pretty alarmist, as that sounds. The bad news is that where do these people go for jobs? Because we know a lot of the corporate white-collar jobs of many of these corporations are being lost now as the furloughs continue and as the replacement of the bots, the AI bots, seem to take place even through the holiday season. So Target could be going bye-bye after this holiday season. And I think I'll be okay, but a lot of people who need those jobs probably won't be continuing. Speaking of which, that brings us to Home Depot. Yes, Home Depot, a staple home and not furniture, but home and gardens, decor, everything you could possibly need or want to remodel or build something of your dreams. Well, now they may be going the way of Bed Bath & Beyond. Well, now Home Depot's profit plunge signals a frozen economy and a fearful consumer. Yes. Well, if you didn't get that hint from Target, well, you might get it now. Well, yes, Home Depot seems to be plunging faster than the current administration's approval ratings. Well, in this case, it could mean a bad economy is just around the corner. As now Home Depot has now reported its third consecutive quarter of declining profits, the company is now a key bellwether. They're saying is a key bellwether of the U.S. consumer confidence in the housing market that seems to be falling. Now, the CFO states customers are now hesitating due to the economic uncertainty. Yes, they are. They don't know how uncertain and why, who, where. In this case, high mortgage rates, they're saying, and government tariffs are contributing to the pressure, as now fewer customers are visiting stores than more than ever before, indicating a pullback in spending. Or they're just going to Lowe's, or they're just going to Ace Hardware, or going to a local just mom and pop shop if they're still around. But certainly a bellwether mark of what's to come down the road. Now, before we get off the Home Depot segment, and I'm going to do a near future report on this. Anyone who remembers the clause in Home Depot, clause 16, I believe it's some of the back of their terms and services, you might remember. Towards the end of that terms and service policy page, it literally talks about the zombie apocalypse, and that was put out in 2016. We'll have to revisit that to truly find out if it's matching where we are currently in world affairs as they saw fit all the way back in 2016. Quite fascinating, don't you think? I think so as well. Continuing now, as we get from Home Depot and the bellwether marks of the plunging economy, something else that's plunging, well, it seems to be the 10 Commandments now. Well, now as a local judge of sorts over there in Texas has now ordered the removal of the 10 Commandments from a school. Yes, remove them commandments, y'all. Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah, it's hard to believe, Texas. You would expect that maybe from New York. Anyone? Well, in this case, it's now coming, yes, and from Texas. Is now the judge orders some Texas public schools to remove the commandments at once, immediately. That's right. A federal judge just this past Tuesday ordered several Texas public school districts to take down the posters displaying the 10 Commandments in another victory for opponents of law signed by the state governors earlier this year, requiring the religious passage to be prominently posted in all classrooms. Yes, he did. I can't believe it. Well, in this case, the preliminary injunction from Judge Orlando L. Garcia of the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas ordered 14 public schools districts to take them down immediately, take down the posters by next month. Now, in June, Governor Greg Abbott passed a law mandating that the 10 Commandments be displayed in a conspicuous location in every classroom, where I guess you have to locate it. You have to find it like a scavenger hunt. That's part of it. Well, he's really into games, and aren't we all? So, the law required the posters to be at least 16 inches wide, 20 inches tall, with font sizes and the typeface that would ensure the text was legible to a person with the average vision from anywhere in the classroom to people who are as blind as Stevie Wonder in some cases. And, Stevie's pretty blind, but he's a great photographer. You should see his work. In addition to that, a group of 15 families from varied religious backgrounds filed a complaint against the law in September, saying Garcia, in his preliminary injunction issued Tuesday, wrote that it is impractical, if not impossible, to prevent plaintiffs from being subjected to unwelcome religious displays. So he's also saying that the plaintiffs are likely to prevail because the Texas law violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, which prohibits the government from establishing a religion. So there you have it. I'm sure this will be appealed in the Court of Appeals. Well, I spoke too soon. Federal Appeals Court is expected to hear the state of Texas's arguments against the August ruling, as well as a review of the Louisiana case in January. So there you have it. Some say this is a loss for people of faith, and some say it's a win for religious freedom and church-state separation. Could be. Well, the way you have to look at it, too, is, what if one day a Muslim becomes a governor and orders that every classroom puts up the 10 pillars of Muhammad? Yes, those 10 pillars you might have heard about. then what? What do we do then? Or let's say a Scientologist becomes a governor of Texas and orders the 10 galactic commandments of L. Ron Hubbard. What would we say then? Those are questions I ask myself every night before I go to sleep. Anyways, that's now going to bring us to World War III. Let's get to it, shall we? World War III. Let's talk about it because we have some issues. At least I know I do. Well, now there's a new case of espionage, and we love cases of espionage because we love to find the people who did it. Well, in this case, a Chinese-American engineer has now pulled the short straw, or in his case, the short chopstick, he's facing jail time for stealing U.S. military technology, where Israel said, no, that's our job. How dare you do that? Punish him. Well, now, Mr. Shengguang Gong, Mr. Shengguang Gong, 59-year-old, you might have heard about him, was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison for stealing classified U.S. military technology, including an infrared sensor for missile detection and fighter jet countermeasures, and attempting to transfer it to China. Clearly it was a mistake. I mean, don't we all want those things? Well, in this case, Gong admitted to transferring over 3,600 classified files from the HRL laboratories to personal storage devices within 3 months, causing an estimated $3.5 million in losses. Many files were marketed as a proprietary or export controlled. Now, Gong, if you don't know or not aware, has had a long history of attempting to funnel U.S. defense secrets to Beijing, including applying multiple times to China's Thousand Talents program, a controversial initiative accused of recruiting foreign experts to boost Beijing's military-industrial complex. And prosecutors revealed that Shuanggang deliberate efforts to aid China's military. Well, this is the first time and it won't be the last. They need to throw the book at him. In closing, the case highlights China's aggressive theft of U.S. military secrets to bypass decades of research, accelerating its goal to surpassing Americans' dominance. And experts warn stronger countermeasures are needed against Beijing's relentless espionage campaigns. Yes. Whereas Israel said, yes, we agree. Yeah, punish them hard and stop looking at us. So that happened. Now, speaking of dominance, this is a rather dominating kind of a excursion now as Russia is now expanding. This is huge. Expanding their Arctic fleets, going to the Antarctica, the South Pole. This is huge, as we know Iran down there with their military as well. And we are too, but it's unofficial and we're not allowed to talk about it. Well, now Russia expands her Arctic dominance with new nuclear icebreaker fleets amid rising geopolitical tensions. Well, let me tell you a bit about it, as this is it's quite breathtaking, as now Russia is the only nation capable of mass producing a nuclear-powered icebreaker. Are you aware of this? Reinforcing its Arctic control. Now, the Stalingrad, the sixth in the project. It's called Project 22220. That's 22220. Yes, it joins a fleet of 42 icebreakers, 8 nuclear-powered, and with 5 more planned, including the Rosea, which is, get this now, a 71,380-ton liter project vessel. That's pretty huge. That's bigger than a Boeing 747. Now, the Arctic excursion contributes 10% of its Russia's GDP, supplying oil, gas, and rare earth minerals, which is what they're looking for. Now, many still untapped in the North Arctic and the South as well. Now, the Northern Sea Route could cut Asia-Europe shipping times by 40%, but Russia's control risk tariffs and restrictions threatening a global trade autonomy. Now, Russia's militarizing of the Arctic is also a worry for some, upgrading Cold War bases, deploying radar-evading nuclear submarines, and conducting large-scale drills with at least, to my calculations, 100,000 troops. Now, where does NATO fall in all this? Because they always have something to say. They never know how to shut their beaks. Well, NATO warns Russia's growing Arctic threat. It is, but lacks comparable icebreaker capabilities. Now, sovereignty and technology superiority is just a thing of the past for some, but it's a new thing for Putin as he emphasizes Russia's self-reliance is just an Arctic away. Not a shot. So there you have it. There's a little World War III update for y'all, in case you like that stuff here. We have a break coming up, but before we get to it, I want to share some of what has now taken place here with the files. As you saw there, the Epstein files. It's the talk of the town. And what does Susie Wales think about it all? The chief of staff of Trump, the gatekeeper, the golden calf, the woman of the Pfizer technology who seems to be on Pfizer. Even RFK likes her. Well, as we go into break, well, here's a little glimpse of what Donald Trump who's finally talking about her. What does he feel about the chief of staff? Let's have a look at this, go to break, and when we get back, hit the real deal politics. Right, Susie?
Susie Wales, she had a father, Pat Summerall, the great announcer. He was a great football player, became an even greater, the voice of the NFL, and he was supposed to be a tough cookie, and I believe it 100%. Most powerful woman in the world. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call. That's power. I don't know if I could do that, but she could. Thank you, Susie. Do you feel good about the job you're doing? Huh? She's never going to be satisfied.
Be a visionary with debonair, a player from the Himalayas, iconic, not ironic, and become a night owl tonight, where like-minded members get together at the Night Owl Lounge, enjoying extra content, backstage hangouts, exclusive interviews, by going to RealDealMedia.tv. Again, that's RealDealMedia.tv. Join tonight.
You like me, you want to get to heaven, but you certainly don't want to take your time, let alone wait in line. That's why I here at Tunnels to Heaven, we're going to get you to your final destination before the revelation, tribulation, and the strangulation. All you got to do is start giving, because forgiveness ain't cheap, it ain't free, and you got to give to forgive. So that's why sign up today. You can find it at a variety of locations, and underneath the synagogues, we got one in Brooklyn, we got one in Alabama, and we got one over there in Seattle, Washington. Get your fix before you get your kicks, and don't fall for any of these tricks. Get your Tunnels to Heaven membership today, because God's waiting, but he ain't gonna pick you up. Hold on, what's that?
What are you saying?
Oh, it's my turn to go in that tunnel. I'll see you guys later, and I'll see you in heaven.
What you waiting for? Let's go. Order your Tunnels to Heaven today. 1-800-TUNNELS. 1-800-TUNNELS.
watching World at War with Dean Ryan, weeknights, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Real Deal Media.
Okay, yes, you are. Well, tonight's show is brought to you by the Real Deal Media members, the Night Owls. Yes, it is. Become a Night Owl, but become a Night Owl because you'll be a visionary or debonair. You'll be ahead of the game. You'll have the vision throughout the night and the day, extra content, everything you need, and a whole lot more. All you got to do is go to realdealmedia.tv. That's realdealmedia.tv and sign up tonight. Why wait till tomorrow? Also brought to you by the people who have made this possible as well. Those who have contributed to our Real Deal Go campaign over there at Give, Send, Go. You know who you are out there. We thank you. All you got to do is go to www.givesendgo.com/Real Deal Go. Yes, your contribution gives fuel to the operation. Okay, let's get back to business here, shall we? Are we ready for this? Welcome back, everybody, as I am still Dean Ryan, cruise director who's cruising with you to midnight and beyond. More importantly, I love when we're cruising together. Okay, well, we have a long way to go and a short time to get there tonight as there's so much going on in the real deal politics world. Yes, there is, but to get there, let's make it all possible by doing politics just the way you like it. Real deal politics. Well, retribution seems to be in the forte of Donald Trump. Retribution to who? I mean, if everybody voted for this, who exactly is going to be getting the retribution? Could it be everybody, anyone? Well, let's find out about it first now, because it is quite challenging to understand these things sometimes now, as a Trump official has now spoken and says that President Trump is now plotting new wave of retributions after the Epstein bill vote. He said Democrats are going to come to regret this. So technically, that theory that I shared with you in the first half of tonight could come true. Well, yeah, that is the case now, as the White House is now planning to use the Epstein files against Democrats after they, in addition to several Republicans, successfully pressured lawmakers to vote to compel the Justice Department to release the remainder of the files against President Donald Trump's wishes. Well, after both chambers of Congress agreed to send the Epstein Files Transparency Act to Trump's desk, two unnamed White House officials indicated to Politico just recently that the plan to draw attention to Democrats who communicated with or were associated with Epstein. Interesting. Now, here's a quote from someone who's very familiar with the files and the matter, that is. They're saying that, quote, Democrats only started talking about the Epstein files once they thought that they could use it to score political points against Donald Trump. An unnamed White House official has now said that will prove to be a mistake for them. Wow, what a plot twist. I'm at the edge of my seat here. Well, now for months, Democrats have been using Trump's refusal. They've been using the refusal of Trump against him, they thought. As now, yeah, the retribution could come soon, or not soon enough now. For months, that has been the case, and in the documents about the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, to speculate the president is hiding something or covering for someone. Now, he's denied any wrongdoing and any acknowledgement of that, the late financier's crimes, but consistently drawing attention to the matter, Trump has now been unable to escape a guilty by association criticism and eventually relented to giving House Republicans his blessing to vote to force the release of the documents earlier this week. Now, the White House is gearing up to highlight high-profile Democrats who are known to be in the documents, and it's going to be damning, I'll tell you that, including former President Bill Clinton, a.k.a. Bubba, as we know him, or as his brother said, has the nose of a vacuum, whatever that means, who was a friend of Epstein, but has strongly denied having any knowledge of Epstein's alleged child sex trafficking crimes. He just, wrong place, the wrong time. And, define what is. the Democrats, he said, quote, the Democrats are going to come to regret this. Now, that's a huge, huge phrase right there and a huge quote. And people who are saying that this is going to come back to bite the Democrats, not just the Clintons, it could even be Chuck Schumer himself. And if so, this time his wife may leave him. Now, there's also the White House attempts to redirect attention to Trump's ties to Epstein, as many of the Democrats are trying to do. And they're also trying, this comes after the president asked the DOJ to specifically investigate the late convicted sex offenders' ties to prominent Democrats in financial institutions. That includes not just Bill Clinton, as I was saying, but Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, and J.P. Morgan Chase himself. Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi quickly agreed to Trump's request, directing the U.S. attorney in charge of the Southern District of New York to investigate Epstein's involvement with named entities. Oh, yeah. And Mike Johnson, the alleged Speaker of the House, is having a real conniption fit, and Thomas Massie seems to be cashing in on it, and he should be ousted, in my view, and many others. In fact, this is what he had to say about it earlier today.
On this bill, he says that it was poorly drafted, does not protect the victims as well. What do you say to him?
Well, he's trying to say that rich and powerful men who were on the plane to Epstein Island are now victims. That they would be victims because their names would get disclosed. Like, look at his PowerPoint presentation today. He's creating a new category of victims. So I think that's how a Christian man can stand up there and say a lie like that, is he's got something in the back of his head that makes it okay. But if he had real concerns, he could have introduced his own legislation. Look.
Yeah, he could have done that a long time ago. Also, is this taking a toll on Trump's popularity? Well, certainly, a big blow to his popularity just happened and occurred over the weekend, in case you missed that one. Or he took a swipe of MGT. Yes, he did, when he said the following: Marjorie Taylor Greene is a disgrace to our great Republican Party, as she was one of the proponents of this Transparency Act of the Epstein files. And she fired back finally in a very grand way. In fact, if you missed it, here is what Marjorie had to say about it.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me.
Pretty interesting stuff. Now, how is this going to affect his poll numbers? Well, some people over there at Fox News Business have done the research, and it's not as looking good as it once was just months ago. In fact, here is what they have to say about it.
President Trump's approval rating falling to 38%. That is the lowest it's been in his second term. People are unhappy with Trump's handling of consumer prices and, yes, the Epstein files. Kim Strassel joining us this morning. Does this mean Trump's affordability messaging isn't working yet?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, Stuart. And this is a huge wake-up call for Republicans. And if you actually look at Trump's approval rating, it actually has been sliding for a while. And I think what happened here is voters had a lot of optimism that he really was going to turn around the economy. And they've given him, 9 months now, and they've been waiting. But suddenly they've been looking around, and things really haven't improved to the degree that they thought they would on cost of living. Yeah, I mean, gas prices down in some areas of the country. There are some glimmers of good news here and there. But overall, he's not performed, and that's what the polls are saying. He's not lived up to people's expectations. So Republicans, they got a lot of work to do in a short period of time before the midterms.
Yeah, a lot of work. I'd say so. 38%. We haven't seen that since the George W. Bush days. Isn't that interesting? Well, something else that seems to be interesting and very unlawful, depending who you ask. Well, now the Democrats are now making their teeth known as they're now biting people. In this case, they're biting the troops with suggestions and just little sweet nothings. Is they're telling the United States military troops to disobey. Disobey what exactly? Well, let's find out now, as the Democratic lawmakers are now urging troops to disobey illegal orders. Well, half dozen members of Congress who previously served in the military or intelligence communities, which there's a lot, or were ambulance chasers themselves, aka lawyers, are now urging service members, intelligence officials, to disobey illegal orders that might be issued by Donald Trump's administration. Now, in a recent video posted on X Tuesday, lawmakers Senator Elisa Slotkin and Senator Mark Kelly, Representative Jason Crow, and Representative Maggie Goodhandler, and Representative Chris Deluzio, and Representative Chrissy Halunana said that, quote, threats to our Constitution are coming from right here at home, and repeatedly urged the military and intelligence community to refuse any illegal orders. Well, I almost have to see this. Has anyone else seen this? Let's have a look at this, because let's have a look at this right here. This is something to be seen here. This is all news to me. Okay, this is coming off of their X account of, there you have it, of Representative Honolulu and Miss Goodhandler, or is it Goodhand? I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. Those foreign names, you know how they are. Here it is right here off X. You be the judge. I'm really, really interested in this.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Don't give up. We need you. God, where have we seen that before? Yeah. Very interesting. What do they think is coming? Is it a mass arrest? Is it the same echoes we heard 5 years ago? Feels that way, but my feelings on this, who knows at this point? But disobey. That's what they say. Continuing now as we go to Real Deal Politics, other attributes that are happening around the world, but in this case domestically now, as former Fox News host Kelly Meghan. Yes, Megyn Kelly, excuse me, I stand corrected. There's a lot of Megans and Kellys in this world, but in this case, she's now under fire for Epstein comments. Megyn Kelly caused an uproar after appearing to suggest Jeffrey Epstein was not a pedophile because he was into very young teen types rather than 8-year-old children. Okay, how is that under fire? That I don't understand the outrage on these things. That's anyways, stupid story, but Megyn Kelly is just fine. I mean, she's not my favorite, but I find that I don't see what the big alarmist is. And then finally here, before I have one more Mike Johnson story, as he's saying some things. Well, Melania Trump, who I've wondered, where is Melania these days? Where is Melania and what's going on with her? Why she was wearing hats? Why she was wearing sunglasses? Is she even with us any longer? Well, now it's said to be that she's doing just fine, as she now just made an appearance over there in Saudi Arabia. And I just wanted to stand corrected myself. Here she is right here in a green dress. Have a look at this. She is alive and well, and I stand corrected. Unless this is her double, and the double is just as stunning as Melania. So she just appeared at a dinner over there in Saudi Arabia, and that's one of the Donalds. We're not sure which one yet. Could be any of them. Okay, well, thank you for that. We have now stand corrected. Also, this just came out. There's now been rumors of a veto of the documents from coming out. And when pressed about it, Mike Johnson had to say the following.
Any reaction to Leader Thune seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see. I was standing there with the Crown Prince. We couldn't talk.
Are you frustrated in the majority leader? Are you upset with the majority leader?
Yeah. Are you upset? Sounds like they might veto it. But which Donald Trump is going to veto this, you might ask? What Donald Trump? And I did some skullduggery around last night. And after the show we did Monday, I had to relook at some of the video. And I wanted to share this with you as it just dawned on me last night as I noticed something a little off. Well, first of all, here's a Donald Trump. This was yesterday, I believe, Monday, where we all saw this video where he was talking about, yes, he'll sign the Epstein bill and the files. He'll go along with whatever Congress. Okay, the usual. But if you look at the eyes, I asked, since when does Donald Trump have cinnamon brown eyes? Everyone see that there? Do I have to get a closer look on that? When did Donald Trump have brown eyes? Okay, and then I'm going to show you something else here. And let me give you a close-up, too. Okay, let me give you a close-up. So that's that one. Now, look at the hands. Tell me what's wrong with this picture right here. Look at those hands right there. What is missing from that picture are, handprints, lines on the hands. If that doesn't look like rubber hands to you, like dish gloves, I don't know what does, because that does to me. So let's try this again. I'm going to give you a closer look, a closer angle to it. So here is Donald Trump's eyes again. Got to be fully. Donald Trump has blue eyes, and those are not blue. Those are brown. Okay, those are brown. Yes, they are. Okay, that's the first one. Now, here's the second one. I'm going to give you a close-up of the hands on this one. All right, there we go. Here's the hands. Ladies and gentlemen, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Come on. Where have you ever seen hands like that? That looks like a man with putty in his hands, or a man who just finished, doing the bus work at a restaurant. Those are gloves. This is not a real president here. This is a continuation of the Biden people. Look at that. The only thing he's missing is a top hat and a cane, and then next thing you know, he's dancing. Who is this person? I'm willing to now declare. This is not really the Donald Trump. And I've yet to see the real one. And I have to go back and look at Trump 1.0, the first term years ago. I don't recall seeing all these variations of looks of Donald Trump. You know, we see a new version of this person every single time. You know, so it's this guy here. You know, it's just unbelievable to me. And no one has the gall, no one has the nerve to bring this up because they don't want to be casted a certain category. Well, I'm past caring because I know a fake when I see one. This is not a real president. This is why Israel's running things, because whoever this person is, they're controlling it. Just like the last 4 years with Biden. You know, at first it was crazy to think, oh, come on, Dean, how can you say that? And then when his chin started forming its own testicles on his chin right before our eyes, then it was already too late. The timid started coming out to play. And I'm not waiting for the timid. This is a fraudulent of an administration, at least from what we see. I mean, unless there's a huge hat trick here. But the Donald Trump we recall from 2016 would not be going along with half of what's been happening. At least from what we think or what we know. And where is the real one? Is he gone? Is he no longer of this earth? Is he hiding? I don't even know. But I know a fraud when I see one. So I have to call that out. Anyways, okay. Let's continue on. Yes. Thank you, Claudine. Yes. You know, you have good taste. That's all I can tell you. And yeah, look at the hands behind him, she says. Yeah, let's look at the hands behind him. I actually noticed that last night because it could be some Illuminati hand signaling. I thought about that myself. Okay, so you can compare and contrast. Look at the hands behind him. So the hands behind him have veins. They look like real hands. You know, there's no handprints on this guy. I mean, I've heard of flat feet before. At least those have lines on it. Yeah, so. And what is this hand signal here? What is that hand signal that he's doing in the back? Who knows the Illuminati hand signals? I forgot the language to that. Yeah, that means something. That means something. It means like dare or something. I forgot what the. I don't have the map in front of me, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. That's the rubber hand man version of Donald Trump. Yes, it is. What are you going to do? And finally, what about Lindsey Graham? Where does he stand in all this before we get out of the real deal political worlds? Well, this is what he's saying. Miss Lindsey Graham, here she is.
My phone records were seized as part of this. I am tired of this. The third leading DOJ lawyer left DOJ in Washington to work for Alvin Bragg in Manhattan. What was that all about? Fannie Willis's boyfriend spent a day in the White House talking to the Jack Smith people. What was that all about? I think this was worse than Watergate, an effort to destroy President Trump, charge him with crimes that are just ridiculous, and come after people like me. I'm not going to put up with this crap anymore. I'm going to sue. I'm going to sue the hell out of these people.
How much are you going to sue them for?
Tens of millions of dollars, because I went to Fannie Willis in Atlanta, spent $1.2 million with that bullshit in Atlanta. Now I find out they spy on my phone records as a senator and a private citizen, chairman of the Judiciary Committee in 2023. I'm going to sue. If you don't sue, they'll keep doing it. Don't run away from this, Republicans. Fight back.
So that's what's happening, and congruently with the Epstein files is they're going after the Fannie Willis and the Alvin Braggs, if you recall. So that's to finish our real deal politics, and what a segment that was, wasn't it? Now let's get ready for some Real Deal International as we go on the Concorde and travel long distances overseas, shall we? Real Deal International, just the way we need it, as we now, well, this one takes us to the UK. Well, anyone who knows anything about the miracle jabs knows that the poor people of the UK were subjected to a whole host of propaganda, even to this day, to get the miracle jabs when they're not busy getting the flu jabs, that is. Well, now the UK government is now allowed to bury the data linking the miracle jabs of the 1984, the COVID-19 84 shots, to a soaring death toll like we've never seen before. Well, here's what we know thus far. The UK Information Commissioner Office ruled that the UK HSA does not have to release data requested by the nonprofit Us for Them, ending a 2-year legal battle. And that's how corrupt it is in England. The courts are never going to favor in your way. Well, the UK HSA argued that releasing the data could cause, quote, distress to the miracle jab injured and fuel misinformation. But really, it would stop our objective of killing everyone in sight. That's what we cannot happen. It's getting in our way. A justification critics call patronizing and absurd. Excess deaths over there in the UK increased sharply in 2022 and early 2023 with a preliminary and parliamentary group, multiple international studies pointing to growing concerns about the miracle jab safety. Now, prominent physicians and activists accuse the government of a, quote, ridiculous cover-up of the highest form, suggesting that withheld data would likely confirm a direct link between the miracle jabs and mortality. What a real damn dirty shame. So that's the UK for you. But really, they won't stop there. We even looked into the mortuary, the people that board up the dead bodies in the coffins. And the mortuary leader over there in the UK, his name escapes me. However, he did mention that the number one attribute he keeps finding in all the dead bodies, well, it's all the clogged arteries that they have to just untangle from all these dead carcasses that they have to put in coffins, one after another. The myocarditis is one of the growing trends in the United Kingdom to date. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Well, Taiwan is warning something, but before we get to Taiwan, I have to stay in the UK because I can't be pressed and rushed. Here's another thing happening. Well, just when the absurdity of the UK was just not enough. Well, now get this. This is how absurd in the measures they've gone to. Well, a bitter pill is now UK has a new tax coming. A new tax. Can you believe it? And by the way, all your taxes go to the Windsors. Your death tax goes to Prince Charles. Well, in this case, there's a new one coming. It's called the milkshake tax. And it's now stirring controversy. Can you believe this? This really ticks me off so much. I'm going to have a milkshake after tonight's show, just as a form of protest. Don't test me. Well, now the UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves is now set to introduce a milkshake tax by ending the sugar tax exemption for milk-based beverages. Well, the new levy will apply the existing soft drink tax in the soft drink industry to levy to sugary milk drinks and lower the sugar threshold to 5 grams, not full, or 100 milliliters. Now, the tax change, it will be taking place and effective by April 2027, projected to generate between £50, or at least 50 million pounds, that is, and 100 million pounds for the Treasury, because they're not done taxing you to oblivion. Now, industry groups criticize the measure, warning it will raise consumer prices while having a very negative impact on the public health. The policy shift follows the government's abandonment of planned income to tax increase after improved economic forecast. Oh, I'll say that just really bust my chops. Speaking of which, now that brings us finally to Taiwan. Well, Taiwan, as you can plainly see right there, is now warning of a security risk, political bias in the Chinese AI models. If you've heard of DeepSeek, it's right up there with Facebook. Well, there's reasons to be concerned, since now we're no longer have to be concerned about TikTok, since it's in the rightful hands of America, isn't it? Well, now in this case, this is quite interesting of the bias. This is coming out of Natural News now, as Taiwan warns of the security risk. Yes, they do, as now the Taiwan security agencies over there have now identified alarming cybersecurity vulnerabilities in 5 Chinese AI models: DeepSeek, Dubao, Wixin, Yangyang, and Tangyai, and Yonbao. including unauthorized data harvesting, location tracking, and forced privacy policy acceptance. Beware, beware. Now, the models systematically push CCP narratives. Yes, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, and falsely labeling Taiwan as part of China, omitting the Tiananmen Square debacle from 1989, if you recall, and framing disputes like the South China Sea exclusively from Beijing's perspective. So if you're into this, beware. And this is just kind of what China does. There's nothing groundbreaking there, but it makes you think if that's what China's doing to their own, if they're doing this to DeepSeek, then what is the U.S. doing to our own AI apps? Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. And that is some Real Deal International to me. Okay, we have just 2 more segments to go. We have a lot of people who are really, really opinionated here tonight, and we'll try to get to you as soon as possible. In fact, let's take a comment here. I'm feeling a little risky here tonight, and frisky as well for some reason. Let's go to Rumble here. We have Rebel Mammon who said, "Such language for a lady." Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We have Something Girl, lots of booster bunnies. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Not so much Playmate bunnies anymore. I agree. And Milkshake needs, yeah. Who else wants a milkshake out there? On me. There's that one for you. Here we have some other people who are saying. We have Skip Tomalowski. Thank you for being here, Skip. Who's saying the following: Dean, General Flynn mentioned Pizzagate earlier. Things are heating up. Miss my Robert Steele. Oh, really? Is that what General Flynn had to say? That's interesting. Is that why Liz Crokin came back? She's now back on YouTube. I wonder. But thank you for that little heads up. Here we have another one here. We have here we have Susan Stevens, who's quite the detective in her own right. Yes, she only works for people she knows. Thank you, Susan. She says the following: those hands are too young looking and smaller than him usually. Yeah, I'm telling you. Susan's referencing our little investigation segment there. The hands, people. You know what? If my friend had hands that looked like gloves, I'd be a little worried. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, thank you for that, Susan. Okay. We have one final segment to go here. That's going to be Real Deal Religious. Let's get to it, shall we?
On this day, now they crawl into the ground tunnels that lead all the way to heaven. On this day, many
On this day, yes. Thank you, Pastor. Well, kind of a continuation of what we shared with you over the weekend. This now has made some headlines, and it will continue to make headlines as now mega churches are in question as the mega church scam continues to be revealed. Yes, it does. Well, this is a very, very peculiar one, as now false prophets and financial fraud seem to go hand in hand. Yes, they do, as the Catholic Church said, finally, no one's looking at us. Yeah, look at them. Well, now the dark truth behind mega church scams is getting revealed by the day, as now Pastor Greg Locke, who took a huge beating from Stu Peters, which we showcased to our members over the weekend. Well, now get this. Some more figures have come out, and it's only getting bigger and bigger as Stu Peters has a lot more to reveal on people like Greg Locke. Well, now Pastor Greg Locke, who one of our members, former members here at Real Deal Media, left us for. Yeah, it's hard. That's hard for me to digest. I lost to Greg Locke. Can you believe that? That son of a bitch. Anyways, Greg Locke allegedly raised $250,000 for hurricane victims, which is good, right? $250,000 for hurricane victims recently, but distributed, okay? And I understand people skim from the top. You shouldn't, but some people do. In this case, Greg Locke skimmed a whole chunk from the top. So he raises $250,000 in a recent investigation, but distributed only $2,400, keeping the rest. Can you believe that? So a lot of the victims of hurricanes, I, for one, I mean, I'm not the worst of victims, but I was affected by the Hurricane Beryl of last year. The people of North Carolina who've lost everything, the home, families, some people lost their lives. They had this heretic. They had this scumbag only give $2,400. Now, Locke has dismissed the accusations without providing promised video proof because he cannot concoct one fast enough. Now, in addition to that, get this. Greg Locke, the alleged pastor, Greg Locke, has now raised over $1 million for an adoption foundation, but funneled funds to his stepdaughter and his son-in-law for personal home renovations. Only 2 families outside of Locke's inner circle received the aid. One was abandoned mid-process, leaving them in debt. That's horrible. I told you. If she's watching this, I told you this was going to happen. I told you to disavow. You don't want to go down with this ship. Now you are going to go down with this ship. And I can't save you. If she's watching here tonight, you know who you are. Also, in addition to that, Locke filed a false police report accusing whistleblowers of child sex trafficking, later proven false via FOIA-obtained audio. He lied about his teenage son filing the report, demonstrating a pattern of deception. But wait, there's more. Locke's church now is operating, I should say, if it's still even up and operating and still considered a church. It operated like a cult, excommunicating dissenters, engaging in bizarre deliverance ministry rituals, secretly smuggled cash to Israel, and raised $96,000 for the Talmudic red heifer ashes. Yeah, that little hoax. He was part of the red heifer. I should have known better. And purchased a Jerusalem condo under dubious pretenses. And that's true. I can confirm with you. He'll maybe do one mass or whatever they're called, service, maybe once or twice a month, The rest of the time he's nowhere to be found because he's in Jerusalem at a condo at his little timeshare. You believe this? Finally, the Treasury Department and FBI are investigating Locke's finances and possible January 6 ties. Similar corruption exposed in John Hagee's Zionist ministry, which denies Christ's divinity while profiting from pro-Israel propaganda. These pastors represent a broader infiltration of Christianity by grifters exploiting faith for political and financial gain. Unbelievable. And that's how that one is to me. Okay, so yeah, this is the fall of Babylon, as Neil Bishop was saying not that long ago. And it certainly can be seen. It certainly seems that way. We'll take maybe one more comment because this is too much and it's too good to be true. Here is, how do you feel about that? Is Greg Locke going to finally go down? And can we really save people from cults? Because I tried my best. Here's a wonderful comment. Yes, Kimberly says, very shady. Yes, I know. Unbelievable. Okay, unbelievable. This is from Jordan Paul. It says, great show you bring to all tonight, Dean. A lot of drops. Yeah, not so much drip trips, but a lot of drops. Yes, weird times. We need Dr. Fencer's opine on the Trump doppelgangers. I know. I wanted to get Jim. Maybe get him tomorrow night. Maybe for Real Deal Media Live. We'll see if he can because there's more to the fake Trumps out there too. Because I have a picture of a Trump on. You'll notice the worst of all the looking Trumps that doesn't look like him at all. The ones where he's in the red hat, and the ones where he's doing a press conference on the plane. So half of them is hiding behind the wall. It's weird. In this one too, someone brought this to my attention too. Look, if you look at this, the blue tie. He never wears blue ties like that. That kind of, someone said it represents Israel. Could be. Yeah. So we'll do another exam. A deep dive, I guess you could say, when Jim gets here. We'll see what he's doing tomorrow night. So, yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for your kind words. Yes. Okay, here's another one. Here we have the Rebel Mama says, Marnie says, the church has become a weapon of the deep state. Yes, it is. You know, Candace Owens said, and I could see this too, and I'll make the distinction in the correlation, that the military-industrial complex moved into the churches. Now, I can see that because while in San Diego, when I did that expose on that pastor who was literally using Romans 13 towards his flock after I confronted him about if he knew, the dangers of the miracle jabs, and if he knew about Romans 13 and the military industrial complex using their own to mind control the flock and getting them in order to the directives of the day. He denied, and then, began to preach exactly that, Romans 13, that we should be thankful for the government. We should give up our guns if we had it. And in California, I don't know if it's like this outside of the state. In California, when you join a church, they now ask for all your information, all of your information. They want to know your name, your home address, your phone number, friends, 3 references. And I kid you not, this is everywhere you go. So that tells me right there that if all the churches, if there's a lot of churches, if not all, have all been infiltrated and are working for not just a higher power, but a power that's in a military building there. And so I'd say if I was of that certain ilk, I don't understand, do people need pastors to give their book review of the Bible every week? Or is it about just gathering and with fellow like-minded people? Because you almost have to make a distinguished difference between the two, because some of these people are not to be trusted because they're double agents, and that guy certainly is. He's certainly from the military, and I exposed him, and now Greg Locke's getting exposed. So there is some positive news on that front. Okay, well, now that's going to leave us to a whole new but yet very familiar segment of You're the only one. And Give, Send, Go. So I get so worked up when I hear that song. Sorry. Anyways, final thoughts here. Final thoughts as we now get to that time of the night. Final thoughts here as we end. The fate of the president is the fate of the president could change around. If the real Donald Trump were to come around again, if he's still available and alive, he can easily turn this around and cut off the umbilical cord to certain countries and certain people and go and follow the will of the people. This can turn around just like that. Just like that. And that would be prime time. Prime time. So that's how I see it. It can turn around easily, but if not, it could really get worse than it already is. Because if anything that I know about Americans is we love redemption. We love retribution, but we love redemption too. And everybody should have that chance to display that. So that's my final thought. Tomorrow night, Thursday, God willing, since now we're talking about holy men, I should be here for Real Deal Media Live. Kind of a loose lit night tomorrow night. And I swear to you, I made the biggest mistake thinking I thought it was Thanksgiving tomorrow. Oh my God. I woke up today thinking that, and I was saying happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays to everyone. But I was just informed earlier this afternoon it's not. Man. So I'll be here tomorrow night, and we'll have a Real Deal Media Live and some surprises for you if possible. In the meanwhile, I'll try to bring Jim back. We'll look further into the doppelgangers. So for everyone here at Real Deal Media and the #1 late night shadow band show, World at War, I'm Dean Ryan saying thank you for sharing a bit of your night with me. I'm very humbled by all of you. And in the meanwhile, never forget to and always remember to stay tuned and stay awake. Good night, everybody.